Hi, so it's Gordon back, and this is video 2 in the series of freeing yourself as an ex-Jehovah's Witness. And I know you do want to be free, and that's why you've followed this video onto number 2. Before we get into what it is that you've got to do to be free, I just want to talk to a little bit about selfishness, and you'll understand why I'm doing this later on when I talk about what you've got to do. But this concept, and this isn't my concept, this is a concept that's been expounded by many people, but mainly by a guy called Anthony de Mello. Selfishness, okay? As an ex-Jehovah's Witness, selfishness has very negative connotations, okay? The witnesses always talk about being selfish, people being selfish, okay? The truth of the matter is this, that every single one of us is selfish. Every single person on this earth is selfish. Now, what do I mean by that? You see, selfishness is neither good nor bad. It just is. It's a concept, okay? What do I mean when I say everybody's selfish? Well, you see, what happens is this. Every single thing that you or I do, we do to gain something, okay? We do it so that we get something back. Now really there isn't any such thing as an unselfish act. Even though we label it unselfish act, it doesn't exist. Let me explain why. We already know about the people who do something good, okay, an act of charity, help somebody, whatever, and then they break the neck to tell everybody else that they've done it, okay? That's selfish, okay? They do an unselfish act and then tell everybody, and then they feel great and everyone goes, oh, and you were a good person, yeah? Okay, I've just donated 3 million to cancer research. Oh, isn't that a very good thing? Yeah. So that's selfish, all right? But what about the person that does a charitable act or helps somebody and says nothing at all to nobody? Is that unselfish? No, that's selfish. Why? Because the reason that we do good things is because we feel good. It makes us feel good, okay? Now that isn't bad, okay? The fact that we want to feel good isn't a bad thing. It doesn't make selfishness bad. It's good. But we need to understand that when we do something, no matter what we do it selfishly. So the person that helps somebody doesn't say anything, they feel very good. And yet at the same time, the person that they've done that to feels very good too. So what you have is a win-win situation. Now, of all of the situations, you know, you could have lose-lose, yeah? Win-lose. None of those are really what we would call a loving situation. But win-win. You win, I win. That's beautiful. And that is what a selfish act is, even when it appears to be unselfish. You gain something from it, the other person gains something from it. Okay? So I want you just to process that, so that when I talk about something in a little bit later in this video, you'll understand where I'm coming from. Okay. So what is it that you have to do to be free? Okay. Get angry? No. Dismiss it? Ignore it? No, it won't go away. What you've got to do to be really free is to let it go. And the only way that you can do that is through forgiveness. You, through forgiving all of the people that have harmed you and hurt you, by forgiving the organization and everything that it stands for, by forgiving it, you will set yourself free. But wait a minute, I hear you say, how could I possibly forgive that shitty, horrible, awful, embarrassing organization? Yeah. And I understand, and I absolutely empathize with you. I understand where you're coming from. The amount of times I've heard people say, and I could never forgive that. That's something unforgivable. People talk about that with themselves, don't they? I'll never forgive myself for that. I'll never be able to forgive myself for that. Okay? Forgiveness has a lot of emotion attached to it. But let me tell you what I mean by forgiveness. You see, I think we misunderstand forgiveness. The forgiveness that I'm talking about anyway. For you to be free, you need to forgive. But forgiveness by no means means that you are accepting that what has happened was okay. By no means. Forgiveness has nothing to do with you saying that was okay. Because both you and I know that was not okay. In no circumstances what the Jehovah's Witness organization did to you was acceptable. Nor will it ever be. So let's get that straight. That's not the forgiveness I'm talking about. Forgiveness isn't saying, I was wrong, you were right. It's not about that. It's not about rights and wrongs. It's about you setting yourself free. Okay? Because as long as you have your big red button on your chest that makes you dance, you'll never be free. To be free, you're going to forgive. Forgiveness is, and this is why I started talking about selfishness, forgiveness, forgiving those people, that organization, is the most selfish thing that you will ever do. It isn't about them. You see, you can choose not to forgive them. You can say, no way, I can't do it, I'm sorry, no, something inside stops me. Okay? What's the result of that? The only result of that is that you damage your own self by saying, no, I can't do it. I'd rather live with this pain than forgive. You see, you're missing the point of what forgiveness is. Because people think that forgiving means condoning. And we are not condoning what the Jehovah's Witnesses do. I would never condone it. It's an absolute horrible, horrible, horrible organization. Okay? However, by forgiving it, you let it go. And that's why it's selfish, you see. If you forgive it, the organization doesn't know that you've forgiven it. The people don't know that you've forgiven it. I'm not going to ask you to send them letters. You might choose to do that. I'm not going to ask you to go and knock on the door and tell them that you've forgiven them. You might choose to do that. This is not what this is about. This is something that you are going to do in the confines of your own self. Okay? So the people don't know. And so by forgiving them, the only person that stands to benefit from this is you. That's why this is the most selfish thing that you'll ever do. And by doing it, you'll set yourself free. The other thing, and this is something to consider, okay? Every single one of us, and you know this fine well, we are victims of our own conditioning. We're victims of the way that we have been brought up. We are victims of our own life. Now, some of us have woken up and we no longer want to allow ourselves to be victims, to run those old patterns, to be asleep and just keep doing the same old, same old. But unfortunately, those people that hurt you and that have hurt you and that continue to hurt you, they are victims. They can't help themselves. If they could help themselves, they would do something different. If you think back to when you were a Jehovah's Witness and the things that you did, I think back, I shunned people. I had to, because that was the rule. And I didn't really think beyond that, because that was the rule. In the history of mankind, how many times have we heard, I was only following orders? And there's an element of big truth in that. That when you're told that that's what you must do, you stop thinking. And you just respond to the programming. And that's all that the Jehovah's Witnesses are doing. They're robots. They are walking zombies, emotionless. They have no soul. It's been stripped from them. And so when they do things, they're doing them because that's what they've been told to do. And because they know no better. No matter how hard that is to swallow, it's the facts. Because you and I have been there and we've done that as well. How many things have you done in your life that you wish you hadn't? In retrospect, if we could live our lives backwards, how wonderful would our lives be? But that's not what life's about. It's about falling down, standing up, dusting yourself off and carrying on. So, those people that hurt you while they were asleep, walking zombies, stripped of emotion. And so, forgiving them, well, it won't help them, but it'll certainly help you. So, what I'd like you to do is this. If you agree with what I've said, I'd like you to move on to video 3. If you don't agree with what I've said, and hey, what I'm saying is just my opinion and what I've gathered and gleaned, either come back to this, maybe in a week's time when you've had time to think about it, or watch it again so that you can take in what I'm saying. And then when you're ready, and only when you're ready to forgive, I'd like you to move to video 3. Alright, thank you for watching. I'll see you in video 3.